Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon once again, as per your respective time zone. On behalf of entire Evosys Managed Service System, we'd like to welcome you all to 22A Workforce Management and Global Payroll Advisory webinar session. This important session is to keep you fully synchronized with the new features and functionalities as a part of this quarter release, which Oracle provides. My name is Hardik Patel. I'm an Operations Manager here at Evosys Managed Services Department. Today, I'm your host for this session, and I'm glad to introduce my colleague Yagni Raoji, who's part of our vast HCM team at Evosys. Today, she'll take us through all the workforce management and global payroll updates for 22A quarterly release. Today's session is planned for around 45 minutes, and we'll also make sure that we leave some time to answer your questions you may have. Before we move to today's agenda, let's have a quick look at the important disclaimer. As we all noticed, that Oracle has notified some customers about 22A upgrade happening along with the 22B in the month of May. So some customers are requested to check the respective notification accordingly. However, this webinar is mainly to equip you with the latest updates on 22A. We would like to convey your approach towards the Oracle updates in a very simpler method. We'll be taking you through meta-analysis for the 22 updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into your system. We will also sync you on any bugs or known issues if there are any. It's good to have an interactive session, so please do ask your questions you may have through chat or question panel on your screen. We'll answer them during the session and also at the end of the session. This is to give you a glimpse on how we have created the structure of this session. So list of new features coming into 22A, detailing on features so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. The next one is what are the business benefits and important takeaway for you as a decision maker. There are 4 components wherein we have done in-depth analysis of features which we are going to present to you today. The first one is impact level analysis, which demonstrates the impact on end user. If it's a low impact, then regression testing can be avoided or not. If it's a high impact, then we must opt for regression testing. Second one, which we all are aware that there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. And the third one highlights the nature of the feature. There would be certain configurations which may be required and some can be used without any changes. And the last one is quick win. This term we use to simply convey that what is ready to use by investing minimum amount of time and what requires significant amount of time and efforts to make use of this feature. Before I hand it over to my colleague, on your screen, you'll see the poll using which we would like to know with the quick poll, which industry does your organization belongs to? So if you can please help out with the thing, and this will help us creating more fruitful webinars content going forward. Just after this poll, we'll begin for today's session. Thank you. We'll be closing the poll now. And now I'm handing over to my colleague Yagni. Yagni, over to you. Unmute yourself and the stage is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Hardik, for the introduction. Hello, everybody. I am Yagni Raulji, and I'll be taking you all through the quarterly upgrade of 22A for workforce management and global payroll. So before we deep dive into each individual feature, let's go through a quick analysis on the different updates that Oracle has brought us for both the modules. There are in total 21 features, out of which 16 are default updates and 5 are opt-in features. So let's begin with quick wins that require no additional configuration. The first one we have here is improved absence processing for reevaluating absences. So the flexibility provided by Oracle to decide who the absences shall run for was very minimal earlier. So Oracle is improving that by providing two new options. Firstly, a new filter parameter has been added called payroll relationship group, which can be added while running the process to limit the number of employees picked. Secondly, we can also only select employees that have had any changes to their work schedule, and there is a new checkbox provided for this. Post this feature, the sysadmin team members would have more control and flexibility when they run the reevaluation process for absences. Next, we have plan balances on approval notification. So this enhancement would allow the relevant approvers to view the absence plan balance when they receive an approval notification. To enable this, we would need to select the display balance in approval notification on the absence type setup page. Next, retrieve data to reconcile absences and payroll information. So we had a very similar enhancement in 21D quarterly upgrade for time and labor. And similarly, Oracle is providing a built-in reconciliation report between absence management and payroll for the payroll admins. The absence plan units different column, which is the most important column here, uh, is the one that is to be focused upon, wherein if the value here is 0, which means there are no differences between absence management and payroll, and if there is a negative value, which shows that there are differences. Next we have is time change requests enhancement. So this feature enhances the way the system processes the resubmission of time cards. In case there has been a change in the time entry profile and the resubmit time card process is required to be submitted, the process will analyze the time cards and split them if required, and then it would also check for any change requests for the same period and withdraw them. Post withdrawal, it would inform the manager that the request has been withdrawn and will inform the employee that a new one is required to be submitted. This enhancement would ideally ensure that there are no duplicate time entries present by verifying the entries in the period during the resubmission and take the necessary action on them automatically. Moving on, HCM group enhancements. So this would also be a feature that provides enhanced control and flexibility to the timekeepers. If you would like to continue providing access to fill out time cards to suspended assignments of employees, then we would need to select the option called include assignments with an HR status of active or suspended. This would ensure that when the HCM group refresh process is run, the suspended assignments do not get excluded from it. Next, we have the override text. Next feature is override the employee retroactive period start date on the retroactive event notification page. So we had a really interesting feature in the last quarterly upgrade, which provided added controls to the payroll admins in terms of how much data they would want the retro to pick and reprocess. In 22A, Oracle is allowing to override the process date on individual retroactive notifications directly from the UI. So what we need to do is we need to navigate to the event notifications, select the relevant retro notification and override the process date as required. So if we take the example in the below screenshot, the process date provided here is 1st January 2012. Now let's say we provide the override date of 15th December 2011. When the retro process is run, all the payroll run will be reevaluated from December 2011. The next feature we have is expand payslip name to include date and amount details. So from employee self-service, an employee can view all of their payslips generated till date. And the name that showed up till now was just payslip. So post 22A, the name would be much more descriptive as shown in the screenshot below. It will have the payroll period date, which is in this case Jan 31st, and the amount processed in the payroll in the payslip as well. Next is process filters on the person process results page. So post the 22A quarterly upgrade, the payroll admins can filter the process results based on the type of payroll process, such as payrolls, payments, and or costing. And the action types against each of these processes are calculation, accounting, and payments for the respective type of processes that you're going to run. The next feature we have is corrective actions for standalone tasks. So this feature has been added to improve the usage of actions performed on completed flows. So for example, if a flow isn't marked for retry status, the system will not allow you to mark it for retry again or submit it. The only option available in this case would be a retry option. And additionally, Oracle recommends that we use the rollback option from the actions directly rather than submitting a standalone rollback flow. This is to ensure that there aren't any contradicting flows showing up on the view flows task. The next feature is cancel event and remove event notification. So this feature would allow us to make corrective actions in the backend when corrective actions on worker assignments have been made. So let's say, for example, a worker assignment had a backdated update with a new job name made. Now, this definitely created some retro notifications. And later we realized that the update was incorrectly performed and we delete the update from the worker. Now, this would not automatically delete the retroactive change, the underlying retroactive notification. And hence, what Oracle is going to do from 22A is it will allow us to cancel such notifications which were created due to the backdated change when those changes were rolled back. Now, this is a really important feature and would allow us to ensure that the data is always synchronized between HR and payroll, and it would also help us minimize the corruption of data. Next, we have is enhanced gender pay report. This is one of the most important reports that are required to be sent to HMRC in UK. Oracle provides a seeded report that organizations in UK can run and generate the output for. And in 2022A, Oracle has enhanced the report by adding the below mentioned columns, which is employment start date, payroll frequency, absence and absence type, bonus pay, period to date for assignment. These columns in the report will help you analyze and determine whether certain employee records are required to be reported or not. And the only prerequisite to run the seeded gender pay report is the two balances that we have. These two balances should have some elements fed for the payroll values to be reported in the report. The next feature is report MYCSP partnership scheme opt-outs based on scheme eligibility. So this feature is for the UK central government entities wherein employees are enrolled in partnership schemes. The details of opt-in and opt-out are required to be reported in the service history file. So Oracle Post 22A is providing this new field called eligible scheme to join in the pension automatic enrollment calculation card, which can be populated if a partnership scheme enrolled employee is opting out from that. And the same data will hence be also reported in the service history file. Next is display organization names in teachers pension MCR flow parameters. So post 22A, when the MCR is run, the parameters would show both the organization name and the identification number to eliminate confusion in case we have recorded the same local authority number on multiple academies in our system. The next feature we have is payroll proration for benefits in kind. Post 22A, the benefits in kind will be prorated based on the end date provided on the calculation card. And if our elements used in benefits in kind are already set up with a proration group, no changes will be required. But if not, then we'll need to ensure that all the elements used for benefits in kind have the proration group set as entry changes for proration. The next set of features that we're going to look at is quick wins that require some additional configuration. And the feature we have here is calculation entries landing page. So Oracle is bringing the responsive UI page for calculation entries in the upgrade of 22A. And some of the actions that a payroll admin could perform via the screen are viewing all the different kinds of entries, such as standard entries, time card entries, absence entries. They would also be able to add, update, and delete such element entries. Additionally, they also have the access to amend costing details associated with those element entries. And to enable the responsive UI screen for this particular page, we'll need to mark the pay payroll admin responsive enabled profile option to yes. The next set of features we're going to look at are opt-ins. So the first one here we have is calculate QUICKPAY single task action. This enhancement will provide a much more cleaner view and access to running QuickPays. Currently, we have two types of QuickPays, that is simplified QuickPay and QuickPay payments. Oracle will be replacing both of these with just one QuickPay task. Once we enter the QuickPay task, we can choose which one to run using the Actions button. Now, there are two changes required to opt in for this feature. The first one is if you would like to replace the two by the single QuickPay, we'll need to enable the Aura Unified QuickPay Enabled Profile option. And secondly, to decide which one of them should be our default QuickPay, we need to enter the particular value in the Aura Pay default QuickPay flow. The next feature we have here is display net pay amount and currency of the legislative data group on the payslip page. So this is an important feature for organizations having a global presence. Currently, the net pay amount displayed on the payslip page is simply a total of each amount paid, regardless of the currency. So if you're paying in multiple currencies, the net pay amount definitely is a misrepresentation of the actual net pay. Post 22A, the system would display the amount paid to the employee in the currency of the legislative data group. And to opt in for this feature, we need to make sure that the Aura Pay Payslip Display Net Pay Balance Currency Profile option is set to yes. The next feature we have is disable notifications for quick pay flows. This is really one of the most awaited features. The payroll admins sit through the entire month running quick pays, ensuring that the calculations and payments made to the employees are accurate and every time receive a email notification from Oracle. So post 22A, we have the option to disable these notifications and not receive them every time we run a quick pay. And the profile option for this is the Aura Pay QP allow workflow notification. Next, we have make payroll mandatory and remove dependency on add payroll button. So this feature will help you in making sure that your HR team do not forget to add a payroll when performing various HR transactions in Oracle. With this, the add payroll button can be made mandatory and the HR users will have to select a payroll from the list to complete the hiring process. So this is a setup feature wherein we can make the necessary change on add payroll and delete payroll sections from the HCM Experience Design Studio. The next feature we have and the last feature we have is manage and submit flow patterns using REST API. So in 2022A, Oracle is providing APIs to run payroll flows through an external interface. And the below mentioned aggregate privileges are required to use these REST APIs. So the first one is Aura Pay REST Service Access Flow Instance, which is the major one. And the second one is just a read-only access privilege. Moving on, we look at some of the known issues that have been identified in the 22 upgrade. So the first one is absences. OTBI subject areas hide certain absences for multi-assignment employees. So if an employee records a person level absence from advanced mode, the line manager might not be able to see that in any OTBI report. And hence Oracle recommends that we only raise assignment level absences or assignment specific absences from advanced mode and otherwise only use basic mode. Next is HCM calendars can't display overlapping resource exceptions. So if we're assigning multiple overlapping resource exceptions to the employee on the same level, the calendar will not show you those exceptions correctly. And at this point, Oracle has suggested that there does not seem there does not seem to be a business reason why such a requirement will be there, and hence there is no fix for it at the moment. The next is the responsive professional payslip paid smartnav issues. So when we navigate to the payslip screen from my client groups and payroll work area, the smartnav does not show you any other payroll tasks. To navigate to another payroll task, you will have to go back to home page and re-navigate to the payroll work area. Again, there is no other fix or workaround for this, and the only way to achieve it would be to re-navigate to the payroll work area. The next known issue is payroll global transfer business objects usability in autocomplete. So currently the payroll global transfer business object is displaying attributes that ideally should be hidden, and Oracle is recommending to not use this business object until a fix has been delivered in one of the future releases. The next is the GL users are unable to drill down to costing results. So we had a feature in 21D that allowed the payroll admins to view the subledger journal entries using the payroll work area. And that feature was only made available to the payroll manager role, but the general ledger reporting duty role is not able to access this feature at all. And again, the fix will be delivered in the maintenance pack of 21D. The next known issue is assignment security is not working on person costing responsive pages. So if you are a user who only has access to a certain assignment of an employee, the costing results page will still show you all the assignments and the costing attached on all the assignments. And Oracle has suggested that assignment security for costing will be implemented in a later release. The next known issue is task iteration statuses. So if we have submitted a particular flow and then rolled it back, sometimes the screen still shows the flow as succeeded rather than corrected process. And in this case, Oracle is recommending that you again you go back to the home page and re-navigate to the view flows to see the correct status of the task. Next is automatic element entries issue when using worker HCM data load. So if we're hiring employees using HDL, which also includes historic data, the automatic element entries do not get generated. And Oracle has suggested that a future enhancement will be released so that the automatic element entries do get created for such scenarios. The next known issue is incorrect warning message appears during duplicate bank account entry. So as an employee, when you are adding a bank account for yourself, which already exists, the system will give you the warning message that do you want to become a joint owner of that bank account. Now, ideally, this is an incorrect warning message because you already are the owner of the bank account, and the system should not allow you to put in the bank account again. Currently, there is no workaround for this issue, and user training is the only way to handle such scenario. The next is data loader task results. So when we run HDL related flows such as initiate data loader, the process results page does not show you all the results that have been processed. So Oracle is recommending that we go to the view flows page and see the results from there. Next is submit related flow with errors or corrections. So ideally, when a flow has gone into error, the actions button shows you some other actions that you could perform on that particular flow. Sometimes it also shows you submit a related flow, which is an incorrect path to follow because your current flow is already in error. Oracle is recommending to not submit a related flow if your current flow is already in error because there is no automated fix for this at the point. Next is not able to create events using cost allocation DO. So the cost allocation object is not currently proratable or retroactive, and Oracle has said that there is no workaround, and it might get brought in the coming releases. The next is individuals can view all of their responsive time cards. So let's say we have a setup in our system wherein future dated time cards are not allowed to be populated by the employees. The responsive screen would still allow that, and Oracle has suggested that currently there is no workaround, but in case this is a concern for your organization, then we can definitely raise an enhancement request with them, and they might look into bringing a fix for this in the coming releases. That's it for the quarterly upgrade of 22A. Handing it over back to Hardik.
Hello. Hello, Yagni. Thank you for the wonderful insights. Um, Before we move to the closing note, we would like to hear from you on the quick poll that what's your area of interest on the poll you can see, using which you can let us know your area of interest in order to organize a future webinar with a more value-based content, whether it's technology innovation, managed services, value-based analytics, cloud transformation. have any questions on any of this subject, you can also reach out to existing project manager, and we're more than happy to arrange one-to-one session as well. With this, we would also like to inform you that we'll be sending you recording of this today's session, along with the task scripts where applicable, and the presentation PDF as well. And before you leave us, let's check if there's any question to be have in the. Yeah, and that has been answered. There was one question. So we don't have any other questions as of now, but if you do have questions at the later stage, you're more than happy to connect to the dedicated project managers, and we'll be more than happy to answer the same. And before you leave us, we'd like to tell you that we have 2 more sessions, which is from the supply chain and the project portfolio management PPM. And links have been shared with you over the email earlier, and on the same link, landing page of Evosys, you will see all the recordings and presentation PDF and test scripts on the page itself, where you can access, and you can pass it to your colleagues as well. And once again, we would like to appreciate everyone for your precious time. Thank you. Thank you for being part of this webinar.